Click go live.
Hey, everybody, welcome to the initial episode of the Ranger Zone podcast. You've got your hosts, your co host here. As some of you know me from the Giant Zone podcast, Fly Guy Carl. And I want to introduce you to my good friend Rob, another diehard Rangers fan. Rob, looking forward to doing this with you. So excited about this.
I've been thinking about it for a long time, and when you said you wanted to branch out with the Giant Zone, I was floored and also ecstatic because I love talking hockey. I love talking Rangers hockey.
Absolutely. And coming off the season we had last year, boy, what an exciting time to really start doing this, huh?
Picked the perfect time. Last year, nobody expected them to make a run to the Eastern Conference Finals. This year, a lot of pressures on them. Little different team, but the same end result is getting to Eastern Conference Finals and advancing to the Stanley Cup Final.
Yeah, yeah. So, Rob, let's just kind of go into this here. So, for our viewers, um, just a little background about us, and I'll start this off. God, I've been a hockey fan for as far back as I can remember. I remember the '79 run to the Cup against the Montreal Canadiens, and all those painful years in the '80s when we used to lose to the Islanders in the playoffs, whom I hated. And then, of course, when the Devils came to town, I took a lot of pride in beating them until they started making their Stanley Cup run. So it's been peaks and valleys being a Ranger fan. So it's been fun. It's been exciting. There's nothing like playoff hockey, in my opinion. It's the Garden is electric. There's such a buzz around New York City and Ranger fans in general when they're in the playoffs and when they're doing good. It's nice to see everybody come together and get behind them. So it's really exciting. And I've played hockey for many years. I played all different formats, intramurals. I played ice hockey. I played roller hockey, deck hockey, street hockey. Wherever I can play and get a stick in my hand and just shoot the puck. It was always a fun time. So I enjoy hockey. I love hockey. Football and hockey are my two passions. I love them so much. And really excited about getting the season going tomorrow night. And what about you, Rob?
Very excited. I'm around the rink all the time. I play pickup hockey. I don't play league hockey anymore. I officiate. I'm a USA certified hockey official, going on my 12th season. So I'm constantly around the game of hockey. Unfortunately, it's always the Kings since it's the Kings practice facility. But still, hockey players are hockey players and all part of one tribe. And I just love the game. I've been around the game. Believe it or not, my first ever hockey game was a 1975 Islanders Flyers playoff game. So that was my indoctrination to the game and to also playoff hockey. But like you said, the Rangers run in '79. How can you forget? That was a tremendous run. Nobody expected that. John Davidson. It was today's Igor Shesterkin. So it all starts with goaltending there, and I was there in '94 when the Rangers beat the Devils in Game 7 of the Eastern Conference Finals. To this day, it's still the best game I've ever been to, even though the Rangers won the Stanley Cup one round later. I was there for that as well. So it's been in my blood. My dad was a huge fan, huge Ranger fan. My mom would tell me stories of going to the old Garden where they had chicken wire and hitting the linesman or the referee over the head when they jumped up onto the chicken wire. So if you didn't watch the Rangers, if you didn't watch hockey in my house, you slept outside.
Wow. Wow. And Rob, let's play on that for a minute. So you are an official, you are a referee, you referee games, which I think is great. And for those of you that watch this, we're going to do a segment. We'll mix it into some of the shows. Well, we're going to do Ask the Ref, and so if you have any questions about officiating rules, so on and so forth, please send us your comments, and Rob will be more than happy to answer any comments you have as we go forward. So, Rob, given that, let's kind of jump into the team this year. A lot of expectations, especially amongst Ranger fans, and I think around the league. I think the Rangers have earned a lot of respect from a lot of people around the league, and I'm hoping the expectations are high for another deep playoff run this year. I'd love to see it. Given that there was a lot of turnover in the roster last year, we lost we lost Andrew Kopp, we lost boy, Rob.
Petrano,
Why am I drawing blanks right now, Rob?
Petrano, Mott,
Thank you, Mott.
uh,
That's what I was looking for too.
Justin Braun on the back end, which
Yes.
added experience and size. We lost a lot from that team that went on that deep run.
And we pretty much switched out Trocheck for Ryan Strome as well.
Hopefully, he could hit an empty net.
Yeah, I agree with that. I agree with that, and I'm okay with that. Ryan Strome was a very good Ranger, and I liked him while he was here. But he just, I don't know, there was something missing there. I don't know what it was, but I'm hoping he did have good chemistry with Panarin. So I'm hoping that continues now with Trocheck. So I'm going to be very interesting to watch that tomorrow night and see. And that may take a little time. So I'm not going to jump off that bandwagon after one game.
Well, I was a big fan of the signing of Trocheck. I thought that when they played Carolina last year, he was the toughest one to play against, except for maybe Sebastian Aho. But Trocheck is one of these two-way forwards that could score. He could assist. He could work on the power play. Could kill penalties if you need him to. I like Trocheck, and he goes back with Gallant to his Florida days.
Correct. And we'll kind of get into Gallant as well. But let's start with the offense, Rob. So the official lines haven't come out yet. I've got some, from what I've been watching during the course of the preseason and just from some of the players, some of the lines that I'm seeing here are top line is going to be Kreider at left wing with Mika at center, and then Kakko at right wing. There you go. And then and let's stop there for a minute. What do you think about breaking up that kid line and putting Kakko on the top line?
Well, in reading Twitter, reading things in the Ranger world, Kakko's been one of the best players in the preseason. He's been going inside. He's not staying on the perimeter. He's stick handling. He's been strong on the puck. They seem to have a little bit of chemistry. That's a big line. If you put those three together, that's almost a Legion of Doom type of line from the Philly days, where everyone could bang, everybody could score, everybody could assist. So I think that's going to be a very interesting first line.
Are you? Do you? And look, the way Gallant coaches. The line for tomorrow night is probably going to be different from the line from Thursday, from the line from Friday, so on and so forth. And we don't even know if this is the right lines, or the right lines that are going to be out there tomorrow night. We're all speculating right now. How do you feel about breaking up that kid line?
Well, these guys, he's a number 2 overall pick. These guys need to start getting top 6 minutes. And if Lapp was a right wing, he'd be on the top line or the second line. It's just that they don't want to put him on his off wing right now. I think it needs to be done. I think that you're going to keep 2 of the 3 kid line together in Hedel and Laff. If not to jump ahead, but I've been seeing him with those 2 with Gaudreau.
Yeah.
So, right now you have to do it. You have to see what these guys could do with top 6 minutes.
And look, you know what? I liked that kid line. I thought they sparked the entire team in the playoffs. And as much as I liked the idea of keeping them together, my concern was, all right, so you got a set line there that seemed to play well together. But if the other top lines, especially the top 2, are misfiring, as we saw during the playoffs, then I think you have no choice but to break that line up.
Right.
So
I agree.
We'll see how that goes. And again, he's going to mix and match until he finds things that work. We know that. But that would be an interesting start. I think that would do a lot for Kakko's confidence, although he seemed to develop that confidence as the playoffs went on, too. He played much better during the playoffs.
He did. And that's his type of game. He needs to be strong on the puck. He needs to be working down low and feed his wingers and use that shot of his. I mean, he had a really nice snipe was against the Islanders, where short side. So he can't be afraid to use that shot. He has a great shot, and he needs to use it as often as possible.
Right. And here's one thing that really impressed me about him. And you don't always think about this when you think about his game. He's really strong. He's a
Yeah.
very strong skate. He's strong with the puck.
He's not a fast skater, but he's
Right.
very strong with the puck, and it's hard to get the puck from him. And even when you seem to knock it off, it seems to stick to his either skate or a stick, and he kicks it right back to his stick if it goes to a skate. So he's got very good puck luck when it comes to that.
And what? We're going to test you for a minute here, Rob. What ex-Ranger does that remind you of?
That
Let
it would,
me put it this way: he played for the Rangers.
well, I think of Adam Graves when I think of a winger like Kako who could just be strong in the puck. He could hit. He could go in the corners, and the puck just stuck to him. Graves showed what you could do when you play with a good center, and now he has a good center with Mika. Not saying Heedle's not, but it's
Right.
just a different level with Mika.
Right.
So maybe he could be a 50-goal scorer. I don't think he'll score that much this year. 20, 25 goals would be nice for Kako.
Yeah. Yeah. But you know who I was thinking of? As just in terms of you can't get him off the puck and the puck seems to stick to him, Jaromir Jagr.
That's exactly what it just came into my head. I was like, you know what? Jagr is very much like that.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. So second line, you've got Panarin, Trocheck, and Lafreniere.
Not according to the practice lines. And I'm going to use Vince M. I don't want to vouch his last name. He's one of the writers for the Rangers for the USA Today, I believe.
Sure.
He said today's practice lines were Panarin, Trocheck, and Kravtsov.
You know what? So, all right, I understand that because I know that Panarin has been working very closely with Kravtsov. I understand that. However, the results have not yet been there with Kravtsov. That's why I have him actually on the third line, and I move Lafreniere up.
To the right wing. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So my third line then is VC on the left wing, Heedle at center, and Kravtsov on the right wing.
Okay.
And again, we're speculating here, so there's no right or wrong.
Oh no, absolutely. And I was just trying to do some research to see if there were any type of practice notes.
Yeah.
And that's what this is. I'm going straight off of what
Sure.
was done in practice today.
Yeah.
And VC was going in on the fourth line. It was VC, Hunt, Carpenter, and Reeves that were subbing in on the fourth line. And it was Laff, Heedle, and Goodrow for the third line, which that third line is pretty solid too, with Goodrow there. And then you have Laff, who's been ready to take that next step.
Interesting. See, so my fourth line was Sammy Blais, Barclay Goodrow, and Ryan Reeves.
Well, Blais going to miss tomorrow's game, and he may miss Thursday and Friday.
I didn't see that. What happened?
Upper body injury. He got hit into the bench of the Islanders, I believe, and he caught himself like up here.
Okay.
On the dashboard.
Okay.
So
I didn't see that. So I wasn't aware.
He's banged up, so he's speculation is they may put him on IR if he's going to miss the first 3 games.
Ugh.
So, but
can't catch a break.
Gallant's saying it's day to day, but it doesn't seem like he's ready to come back this week.
But he seems to be recovered from the knee, correct?
Correct. Oh, he looked okay. He looked okay before that upper body injury, but he's got so much pressure for 2 reasons. One, he's replacing Buchnevich, which turned out to be a fan favorite. And number 2, he only played 14 games, so he feels the pressure to contribute. So he's a third, fourth line guy. He's not maybe a second line guy. He's really not going to eat up a lot of top 6 minutes, even though Gallant will put him there. But he would be a nice addition to the third line.
So where do you have him on the third line, you're saying?
No, I don't have him anywhere right now because it's going to be interesting.
Once he's in the lineup, I'm sorry.
I would put him on the third line. I would put him and then drop Goodrow to the fourth line and have Laff, Heedle, and Blais as your third line. And then you'd have Goodrow replacing Reeves because Reeves is going to play 82 games.
Right.
You have Goodrow. If you have Goodrow, Carpenter, and VC as your fourth line, you're now running 12 guys deep, and you can and you can just cycle and give your fourth line more minutes than you normally would give a fourth line because you've got guys that could do offense, defense. You're not worried about a guy like Reeves that's going to slow you down.
Has VC been playing off wing at all, or has he been strictly in the left?
No, he's been playing, I think, both. He could play up and down the lineup. He could play up and down the wing, center. He could play any of the positions. But he's one of these guys that's going to be a pain in the neck to play against, and he'll contribute a few goals.
He's going to be a plug and play.
Yes.
But I'm not going to be surprised to see him getting good quality time on those top two lines.
Oh, if anybody struggles, if coming out of the gate, Kravtsov struggles, you can see VC jumping up on the second line. Absolutely.
Yeah. It looks like he's matured. Like he's kind of figured out how to play in this league. Finally, it just seemed like he couldn't put it together while he was here the first time.
Well, again, it's expectations. Here's a guy that would not sign with two different teams, comes to the Rangers as free agent. So all the pressure's on him to come out and score 50 goals.
Right.
And some people are not meant for that.
Right.
It's like the Hobie Baker Award winners in college.
Yeah.
Almost never turn out to be stud scorers. Right. They're usually role players. They're usually third, fourth liners. So it's just high expectations that he couldn't meet. And now that he's been around the league a little bit, he comes back with a comfort zone and a comfort in his own game and his own skin, and that he could just go out and be himself. And you saw it as a PTO. This is the second straight year he was on a PTO. Last year with the Devils, this year with the Rangers, that he garnered a contract.
Correct. So let's kind of dive into some of these forwards before we get into the defensemen. Panarin, 22 goals last year, 74 assists. Do you see what do you see for him this year? Do you see
he's got to be 30? He's got to be a 30 and 75, 80 type of guy.
The number that jumped into my head with him was 35.
35 goals.
Somewhere 70 assists. Look, he played 75 of 82 games last year. So it was an injury. I don't know what it was. I don't know if it was the system, getting acquainted with Gallant's system or style. I don't know what it was. But, whatever. He's got to produce more. And he's got to look, if they get to the playoffs, he's got to be better in the playoffs.
Absolutely. I was so surprised that there was no injury report on him once the playoffs ended.
Right.
I was really expecting either a shoulder or a wrist, something to cause him to use one hand more than I could ever remember him doing.
He said he was thinking too much.
Well, that's the bugaboo. You know that in football and baseball and any sport. Think during practice. Games, you got to react. You just got to play.
Correct. So Mika, 29 goals, 52 assists. See, again, he got started
struggled.
late.
He struggled at the beginning.
Right.
So the fact that he almost scored 30 shows you how hot he was at the second half of the season.
Right. And then he carried that into the playoffs. He was
that first line was inconsistent, in my opinion. That first line was very inconsistent during the playoffs. And like you said earlier, the kid line is really what kept them afloat in the playoffs and allowed these guys to get their legs under them a little bit.
Right. Kreider, great year last year, 52 goals. It's hard to project that again.
Right.
35 to 40 and decent assists. I'll say he's had a good year. 52. He was just everything he touched went in the net last year.
And 26 on the power play, something crazy like that.
26 power play. You're absolutely right.
That was off the top of my head. I don't have it in front of me.
That was very good. It's just, do teams start defending that better this year after seeing what he did last year? Do you see teams trying to put a body in front of him in front of that net, on the power play? It's hard because they're in the box defense.
It's hard, number one, because they're in the box. Number two, he's a big body. So you put another big body in front of him, goalie's never going to have a chance to see the puck.
Right.
30 goals, 35. If 20 of them are on the power play, that would be a good season. I don't expect another 50-goal season. If he could score 40 goals and 25 are on the power play roundabout, he's a net front presence on the power play that's hard to move. So he's got great hand-eye. And so the deflections and the different types of deflections that he could do, you wonder why he hasn't scored 50 before.
Yeah, true. He was always streaky, though. Last year was the first year it really seemed to come together for him consistently.
Right.
He
And
would
I
get,
think he got consistent power play time for the first time in a while too.
yeah, it was just prior to that, he would, he'd score a bunch and then he'd go quiet and you would wonder where he was.
Right.
So I found this interesting. So Ryan Strome last year, 21 goals, 33 assists. All right. So now you sub that out with Vincent Trocheck, 21 goals, 30 assists. So the numbers are almost identical there. Correct me if I'm wrong. Isn't Trocheck faster?
They're about the same, I want to say. Strom wasn't a slow guy. So I thought Strom was able to keep up, but Trocheck's a good skater. He's a strong skater. He's stronger on the puck and he's stronger checking wise than Strom was.
Okay.
He was more of a third line center, I believe, most of the year for Carolina last year. I don't know if he was the number 2 center. So you're talking about a guy that's defensively sound in his own zone, good face-off guy. So these are the things that are replacing Ryan Strome. Ryan Strome was not good on the face-offs.
Right.
So, and he was not good as defensively as Trocheck. So, it's playing with Panarin, you have to check more than Panarin because he's the scorer and he's the one that you're going to lead on the breakaway and whatnot. Right. But I like everything about Trocheck replacing Strome.
I think the key there that you mentioned is the face-offs, because we were horrible on face-offs last year. Horrible. But I mean, team-wide. It was bad. It was bad. They were relying on Barclay Goodrow for face-offs, and then he got hurt.
Yeah.
So, Alex Lafreniere, 19 goals, 12 assists. What do you expect there?
25 and I'll say 25 and 25.
Yeah, I agree with you. You can see, here's the difference that I see with them. You can see the development coming with him. Okay, we spoke about Kakko. Kakko was better in the playoffs. He seemed to get it.
Right.
I'm not ready to say that Kakko, you could see the development coming there. I want to see it during the regular season. I want to see it over the course of a season. I'm hopeful. I really am, because it looks like Kakko's the kind of player that, boy, once he gets comfortable, he just looks electric, But Lafreniere definitely is. You could see the development. He's getting more comfortable. He's getting more involved, and you're going to see he's going to get rewarded with more playing time this year.
I also see one other number going up, and that's his penalty minutes, because he hasn't met a check he hasn't liked yet. Yes. So he loves to mix it up. So I just think that just breeds a little bit more penalties the more physical you are, and I don't think it's going to hurt his offensive game at all. He's a 200-foot player right now, and that's why the third line's good for him right now. Because remember, he's still a year behind Kakko as far as draft picks, and so it gives him a chance to ease in to another season, play with a guy like Chytil who he's comfortable with. He could play his two-way game, and he could be defensively sound, which is what Gallant wants.
Yeah, and I agree with you. He's definitely not afraid to mix it up. And he's not the biggest guy in the league either. So he's got a lot of heart. Filip Chytil, 8 goals, 14 assists, 67 games. Boy, if he can continue on the path that he was on during the playoffs,
right?
Is 20 goals too much of a reach for him?
I was thinking 15.
Okay.
And maybe 15 and 15, 15 and 20 for him. It depends. It depends on how much playing time that third line gets.
Yeah.
Rangers last year relied on those top two lines. Right. If they could balance it out a little bit more, maybe he's in store for 20, 20 and 20 type of season. But I love Chytil. I love his game. He's another one that's not afraid to mix it up. He's hard to get off the puck. He keeps control of it even after getting hit. I would love to see him take that next step. If all these guys take that next step like we hope, there may not be that regression that we expect.
Right. It kills me. So we're sitting here talking about Chytil, 20 and 20. Look, that would be an improvement, and I would take that. But, we're talking, okay, third line center. I'd still like to see more.
Because his potential says he has more.
Exactly right. Exactly. But look, after what he did last year, 20 and 20, I'll take 20 and 20.
Oh yeah,
Um, so again, Kako, 7 goals, 11 assists, only played 43 games. So let's
yeah.
keep that
The
in
injury
mind.
bug. That's the other thing about him is that due to his game, he has not been able to shed the injury bug.
Yes. Yes.
So I just don't want him being deemed injury prone.
What is it now? 2 years in a row, he's lost time due to injury.
Right.
So try to extrapolate his numbers out across an 82 game season, or let's say 75 to 80 games. Okay, and I'll
Okay.
give him the benefit of the doubt. 7 goals, 11 assists last year, and 43. Maybe what 15 and 25, maybe.
I'm thinking 20. I'm thinking with his
Really?
shot, with his size and his release, I'm saying 20 goals. 20 goals,
Wow.
25 assists.
Interesting. Interesting. All right. So those are the big ones that we're looking at. I mean, I'm just going down the roster here. Sammy Blay, I can't really touch that one yet.
No,
Brodzinski was released, I believe, correct?
correct.
And he
I
was
think he
replaced
went
by
there.
VC, right? They signed VC, released
Yeah,
Brodzinski.
right.
Um, all right. So anything else about the offense that you want to go into?
Well, only about some moves that were made today. Julian Gauthier was waived and was assigned to Hartford as he went unclaimed.
Okay.
And then two defensemen. If you want to wait, I'll wait till we go into the defensemen to talk about those guys. But as far as the offense, this team has all the potential to score more because you have a fourth line now that has a potential to add some goals to it. Whereas
Right.
before it was just a Hunt and Reeves that's just plotting. I mean, Hunt's not a slow guy, but if you replace VC in the lineup instead of having Hunt there, you have more offense right there.
And that's another guy that Gauthier, he's got all the tools. He's big, right? Fast. Just can't put it together for some reason.
Can you imagine if Kako had that kind of speed?
Oh, and that size.
Exactly.
And they keep telling him, drive to the net, drive to the net. And I don't understand it. Look, I played defense when I played. So, who am I to say? I was not the one going forward. I was playing defense so but I was never afraid of contact. I don't know what the mental block is for some of these guys that they don't want to drive to the net.
I don't know. I mean, he drove against the Islanders and almost scored as it just slid by the net. When he does put his head down and put his shoulder down, he's very effective. But he's
Yeah.
just not consistent enough. I don't know if he doesn't like contact, but if you're a big guy like that, you got to welcome contact.
You would think, right?
I mean,
And the
I'm five.
Rangers
I'm
need some more of
5'10".
that.
I'm 5'10", and I welcome contact.
But we need more of that. We saw
Yeah.
last year that we need to play more physical. Look, I understand the theme was, okay, we're going to be more physical this year. We brought in Ryan Reeves. Well, I didn't notice it too much, to be honest with you. What I liked is that the team stuck up for themselves more last year.
Right.
They weren't afraid to mix it up. Sammy Blay was a loss because
Right.
he's that kind of player.
Right.
He's that big guy. He's not afraid to hit, not afraid to throw the body. But we paid for it down the stretch, and I think in the playoffs a little bit too.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Because in the playoffs, Reeves is not as effective in the playoffs as he is during the regular season.
Right.
You're not dropping gloves. You don't really need that enforcer during the playoffs because guys aren't taking runs. They can't afford to take runs in a series like that. So, but this year, you're going to see Reeves's role change considerably. I don't think he's going to get as many games this year. I think you're going to see Hunt in there more, playing with Carpenter and VC. You'll see Goodrow dropping to the fourth line or Blake on the fourth line.
Right.
Guys that could actually add offense, and that's why I'm telling you this Rangers team is deeper than they were last year.
Interesting. If Blake goes on the injured list, how long is he out for?
7 days.
Okay. All right.
And I don't know if that's retro to a certain date or if it starts at that date. That I don't know.
Okay. So let's go to the blue line here. All right.
Okay.
Top pairing, Lindgren and Fox. We agree on that
Hmm.
as usual.
And hopefully Lindgren is healthy enough to play. Everything all signs point to him playing tomorrow.
Right.
But he's another one. He's banged up, and you got to monitor his minutes.
Isn't it funny? We're getting ready to start the season, and we're already talking about Lindgren being banged up. And not that
Well,
he's injury prone. He just
he's a
takes a
warrior.
beating. Yeah. Yeah.
He's a
But I love
warrior.
him. I love him.
Oh, I do too.
And then, so your second pair, Keandre Miller, and then my guy, Jacob Trouba.
You got to update that.
With the C. Yeah, I know. I got the signature on the back, which you can't see. So
Okay. Then you can't. You can't because he signed it when he wasn't the captain.
Exactly right. Exactly right. But we'll work on the captain jersey as well. And then your third pair, what? Zach Jones and Brandon Schneider.
Yes. Zach Jones was probably the best defenseman during preseason.
I heard that. I heard that he pretty much ran away with that spot. During
he was dynamite. He was fun to watch. He was like a little fox. Not size wise, obviously, but he was like a younger version of Fox. He was controlling the puck. He was zigging in and out of traffic. He was confident in his ability to handle the puck, and he was solid in the defensive zone.
And here's what I like, and I think this is going to reflect everything you just said. He's on the third pair with Brandon Schneider. That third pair is two 21-year-old defensemen. Now, a lot of people would say, oh, my God. But you know what? Not for nothing. Schneider showed that he belongs here last year.
Absolutely.
And I think you're going to see him take a step forward this year. He's actually got a physicality to them. He didn't display it much last year. But he's another one that, you know what, once he's comfortable, I think you're going to see that more of that physicality come out of him. I love the kid. I think we got a star in the making with him.
Well, he was one that they refused to part with in any type of trade scenario for no matter who it was.
Right.
And he was dominant when he played for the U18 team for Canada.
Yes.
And I agree with you. I think he's going to take a nice step forward this year. I think you're going to see his physicality pick up this year. Yes. I think he focused so much on the defensive zone last year that you're going to see a lot more offense from him as well as he gets more comfortable. Yeah. Because he could be, they call him a mini Trouba for a couple of reasons, but not just for his hitting and his defense, but also he could add some offense. He's got a shot from the point.
Right. And this is what I love. This is why I like Jacob Trouba so much. I love his play. And, we all saw the physicality last year. He stepped up as a leader last year. I know a lot of people are going back and forth. Should he be captain? Should it be Kreider? So could it be Lindgren? And you can make a case really for all three. All right. But here's what I like about Trouba is that, you talk to Keandre Miller, you talk to Schneider, everybody back there says, you know what? Trouba's like a coach on the ice.
Yes.
And I love that. I love that leader. I love that, that as it, you look, I used to coach youth football, and I love to share the knowledge and what I experienced. I love that, and I respect that in players that do that. Same thing with Panarin and Kravtsov. I respect what he's trying to do there. And
I agree.
If that works out, there's someone we didn't really talk about us too much on offense is Kravtsov.
Well, you don't know what to expect. All you know is you've heard he's matured. So the fact that he was on the fifth line going into the last preseason game and didn't play, and now he's back on the second line, it shows how far he's come as far as his maturity, or he would never have been able to get out of the doghouse and be on the second line again. So he's got to produce them. He's got all the talent in the world. He's got some great stick handling moves. He's got a good shot. He's got some speed.
Yes.
He's just got to put it all together.
Yeah, I agree. It's where's his head?
Well, it's not in Hartford. It's not in Hartford, and that's what makes him happy. He's with the big club, so his head is more right than it would be if he was sent to Hartford. So we'll see. I mean, playing on the line with Trocheck and Panarin, he's going to get his opportunities.
Yeah.
It's how quick out of the gate he could get the goals.
I don't really have any judgment on him. I haven't, too small of a sample size,
I agree.
you know.
I agree.
And then your extra defenseman looks like it's going to be Libor Hayek.
Yes.
Sorry.
Yes, and the reason is because today they released Matt Barkowski from his PTO,
Yes.
and they waived Jared Tenorti, and Jared Tenorti was picked up by Chicago.
He was okay. You know what? I mean, I remember when they signed him, and it was like, okay, but no, never really did anything for me.
They really only signed him to be a Reeves type of enforcer.
Yes. Yes.
Not necessarily as a big time defenseman,
Right.
even a seventh defenseman. He was going to add some physicality. He was going to add some protection. But Reeves did it all. They didn't need Tenorti as well. And then it trickled down from Reeves to other guys on the team, especially left.
Yeah. I'm trying to see Tenorti's numbers for. I just want to see how many games he actually played in last year. He only played in 7 games.
I was going to say, I don't think he played a dozen.
Yeah, he only played in 7 games last year. So
he was horrible in those 7 games.
I don't even remember him. Don't even remember him playing in 7 games. Anything else you want to add about the defense?
It kind of parlays into the defense. Talking about the captain we know is Trouba and the assistants that were named. Fox was not one of them. Did you know?
I did know that.
The four alternate captains: Barclay Goodrow, Chris Kreider, Artemi Panarin, and Mika Zibanejad. Right. So no Adam Fox, and I believe there were a couple games in the preseason he wore the A. I think he did.
Do you really see that being a factor in his numbers this year?
No, not at all. Not at all. I think he's relieved. I think like when Brian Leetch was captain, he didn't like that kind of pressure. He's not a vocal guy.
No.
Whereas Messier was the perfect guy to come in and be the captain.
It's my favorite player. Team. Matter of fact, I got the Messier signed hat on right now.
You're just all about the signatures today.
Oh yeah. I'm representing well today. Let's just kind of go through some of these numbers here right away. So Adam Fox, 78 games, 11 goals, 63 assists. I adjust my hat here. The assists are great. Do you see the goals picking up?
Yes, because the more power play time he gets, the more chance he has to shoot, and some of those will go in. Some of those won't be deflected by Kreider, and they will go in. So I see a little bump. I'm not saying he's going to score 20. He's not going to be Cale Makar on the back end scoring goals. I'd see 15, 16, 17-ish with his power play time. And if he could up his assists, he'll still be a point of game type of guy.
Lindgren, look, Lindgren's not going to be a goal scorer. He's your physical.
I don't care if he gets 0 points.
Right. Then you got the second line. So you got Trouba, 11 goals, 28 assists, 81 games, which I loved. I respect the hell out of that.
Absolutely.
Again, I'm a little biased towards Jacob Trouba, but still, the numbers don't lie. We don't need him to be the big scorer either. I like the physicality. Give me that stay-at-home physical defenseman that's going to make a hit and going to stand up for his teammates. I'll take his game the way it is all year long.
Absolutely, 100%.
Keandre Miller, 7 goals, 13 assists. He played in all 82 games last year.
He's going to take a quantum leap this year.
You think so?
I think he is absolutely going to take a quantum leap. The one thing that he has in his game that he really is starting to show a little bit of in spurts is his offense. He was a forward up until college. He's still kind of learning the defensive side, and that's why his offense has suffered. But this year, he's going to take a quantum leap. He's going to get a lot of ice time. I think you're going to see him get some power play time. I don't know if he'll make the turn all the time, but I think if he got a little bit of power play time, he could really show what he could do.
12, 15 goals, up from 7.
I could see him doubling his goal output this year. I could see that.
And assists, I love his game. I love the way his game defensively is coming into play. He doesn't get beat much,
No,
and he's
got
got a
a
very long reach.
yeah. He's a
So,
fast skater, and he's got that reach.
yes. Who did they used to have that used to have the long reach in defense? Why? I'm drawing a blank right now. They used to have another. Was it Boom?
Boom had a long reach, but don't get me started on Boom.
The good old days.
Here's a here was a third defensive pair that was forced to play in the first pair because they signed them to that contract.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but that'll be for a different show.
Yeah, right. That'll be the old timer show. And then
Exactly.
So Schneider, 43 games played. We know he came up late. 2 goals, 9 assists. What kind of jump do you see in his offensive output?
5 goals, 15 assists.
Yeah, I agree with you. I was going to say I keep him under 10 goals.
Yeah, definitely.
I agree with you. Finally, coaching. What are your thoughts about our coaches going into the season?
I love Gerard Gallant. I really do. I just think he's such a player's coach, and he usually has a pulse of the team. The only thing that concerns me is he likes to shuffle lineups. What's good today is not good tomorrow. And I just think that he needs a little bit more patience with this team. And I think he needs to let it roll a little bit and see how they play. I mean, obviously, if they're stinking up the joint, you make changes. But I am really scared that they're going to get off to a slow start because there's so much change, so much turnover that they're still finding their way with each other. And I just think they need time to play together.
I agree with you, by the way. I would like to see him set the lines and leave the lines and let these guys develop some consistency with each other. So yeah, it's a concern. It's hard to really, I don't want to really nitpick on him. I mean, he got us deep into the playoffs, so it's really, in my opinion, it's really hard to critique him too much after what he did last year. But let me ask you this: the way that Tampa series went and the way the playoffs went, how much of that do you think he bears the responsibility for?
What should I address first? The whole playoffs or the Tampa series?
Let's go Tampa series first.
The Tampa series, I just think that honestly, it was an empty net or two away from that series being completely different. So I don't really put the burden on him and the blame on him. Look, the guy's got to step up. Players got to play. They had every opportunity to take a stranglehold on that series, and I don't blame Gallant for the reason they didn't. They didn't finish. Look, Trouba had one of his worst games in the worst time, and I'm a big Trouba fan, and people were calling for him to be traded that moment, cut that moment. It's like, no, he did way too much for that team, and he was my choice all last season to be captain.
Yeah,
I thought that he was always the right choice to be captain. The Kreider and Mika bromance, that you're opening up problems if you put one as captain versus the other. Right. I think that's why they're both perfect being alternate captains. So to me, it was always the logical choice to have Trouba. I think that you're going to see Gallant take the next step with this team and really show what kind of coaching he has. If he could duplicate or pass the 110 points they had last season.
I don't put too much of the Tampa series on him because I think they were out of gas. I just, those first 2 series were just wars. And look, we all know playoff hockey. It's just one war. Every game is a war. We know that. It's physical. Yeah. It's a grind. I still say the Stanley Cup is the hardest championship to win in all of pro sports because
the only one that has 4 of 7 for every series.
That is correct. And it takes a toll on the body. So, did I like the way he handled the whole Kako situation at the end of that Tampa series. Um, you know what? I'm not going to touch that, Rob, only because I don't think we're ever going to know what fully transpired there.
Good point. Fair point.
So without knowing, I'm not going to rush to judgment and say who was right and who was wrong. If it's a simple matter of he felt that he needed to get Kako out of there, look, like you said, he's got a pulse on the team. So I trust him more than I trust any beat writer or announcer or anybody else. So,
well, let's just take a look at something real quick. Since you mentioned Kako, he was benched for the last game, right? First line right wing. Kravtsov was all but out of New York. Second line right wing.
Right.
So, no matter what Gallant has done and said, talent prevails.
Yes.
And he's willing to give guys a chance and a second chance and a third chance, just produce. And I think these guys are running out of their chances with Gallant. They need to produce now.
Well, yeah. I mean, they're in the put up or shut up phase of their tenure here in New York.
Yes.
So I agree with what you're saying. Playoffs overall, how do you think he coached?
I think that he coached more. I thought he got more out of the players than I expected him to. I honestly, I expected them to beat Pittsburgh. I thought they were a better team than Pittsburgh. It shouldn't have gone 7. That first game, if that goal was allowed, who knows? It could have been a whole different series.
Yes.
I thought Carolina was a better team all season long and in the playoffs than the Rangers. And they beat the Hurricanes in Carolina in a game 7. Coaching means a lot in a game 7. So right there, I think he earned his medal just by beating Carolina.
Yeah, I agree. I'm happy with the. Look, I wanted them to hire Messier. To be honest with you, I don't know if Messier was interested in it or not, but the Gallant, I like the Gallant hire. I think he's right for this team. So I'm on board with him. I'm on board with the moves. I'm on board with his lines. Again, I don't like all the shuffling of lines. I hope he lets them develop a little bit more consistency together. And one quickly before we end this here, we haven't touched on goaltending yet. So look, Igor is Igor. We've got the reigning Vezina Trophy winner.
Correct.
Really hard to critique anything about that. If anything, I expect him to be better given the playoff experience he gained last year.
I expect him to be more focused, more consistently.
Yeah. I think he's going to be more confident this year.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? He doesn't have the whole Grigoriev thing behind him. And I think we all knew he was good, right? The year before he was 10-0, then he got hurt. Right. We all knew he was good. A little up and down at the beginning of the season, then he just took off. And then he wasn't, it had to come together, I guess, was what I'm looking to say. Yaroslav Halak is back up. Not crazy about him, but how much are we really going to see of him too?
Well, that's the reason why he's the perfect backup. Right. Number one, we don't have to face him. When he was with the Islanders, when he was with the Bruins, we couldn't beat him. We couldn't score him. So if you can't beat him, join him. So the fact that he's
right,
the fact that he's on our team now is one less goalie we have to worry about.
Yeah.
I think he's a perfect backup because he's not going to be pushing Shesterkin in the media, in practice to be the number one guy. He knows his role. He knows it's more just help Shesterkin get better, help him get even more consistent,
right,
and how to be an NHL goaltender. So I like the signing. I did the immediate, and I also liked I'm drawing a blank on the former Penguin that we signed for Hartford.
Oh yeah,
Louis Domingue. Louis Domingue. I also like that
Hartford,
signing.
Correct.
Yes.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
We're in a better goaltending situation this year than we were last year. If something did happen, because look, Shesterkin was battling the injury bug too, and that injury-prone tag, and he had a tremendous season. See what happens when you can stay healthy. You know.
Isn't it funny? We all forget that Louis Domingue almost beat us in the first round.
Yep.
Crazy, right?
Spicy
So
pork.
this
What was
week,
it? Spicy pork and broccoli or something like that.
something like that. Something like that. So this week we open with Tampa tomorrow at the Garden, and then I believe we're in Minnesota on Thursday, and then is it Winnipeg Friday? Is that correct?
That's what it is. I think that's what it is.
That's a tough opening 3 games.
Especially
Minnesota was
going against the Eastern Conference Final champion, and then 2 on the road.
Right, exactly. All playoff teams last year, if I'm correct. No, did Winnipeg make it or not?
I think they did. I think they were out in the first round. If my memory serves me. Yeah, Thursday and Friday at Minnesota and at Winnipeg.
Correct. And then so that's a tough first week.
It is.
You know,
it is, but I can't worry about Thursday and Friday. I got tomorrow. Trouba's being named captain to the public for wearing his C jersey. You know, the little captain ceremony. I think the Rangers win tomorrow night. That's as far as I'll go as far as predicting future Ranger games.
You know, it's going to be a tough spot tomorrow night. Look, I think they're gonna be excited. The crowd's going to be behind them for sure. I think they're going to be looking for a little payback. But you know, everybody's 0-0, and Tampa's healthy right now. So, you know, I think tomorrow's going to be a good game. It's going to be a good early test.
Well, I mean, you have the 2 best goalies in the league.
Yeah.
And it's just Shesterkin and Vasilevsky.
Yes.
So, and Shesterkin has something to prove. So I see him being ultra focused tomorrow.
We'll see. We'll see. Hey, Rob, this is a good first show out of the gate, buddy. Really appreciate this. Looking forward to doing this with you on a weekly basis. For everybody watching, again, please go to our YouTube channel, The Ranger Zone. You can find us on YouTube. I will post the link to the YouTube channel. Please watch us, subscribe, and let's get ready for a full season of Rangers hockey together. Rob, again, thank you so much, and look forward to doing it again with you next week.
Absolutely. I look forward to it.
All right. Good night, buddy.
Good night.